later I have my closing. And Vickie, I'm going to have you do it. I know you're a certified professional organizer. I know you've been on the phone with me before. It's great to have you in person. I desperately need your help. I think I told you before, I board or hoard. And I know there are a lot of people out there like me. We have 9 minutes, but why don't you tell me the beautiful last name you have?
Delaquila.
It's an awesome name.
Thank you.
Delaquila.
It is a great last name.
It's clutter-free. In some ways. All right, now you have authored a book, and it's been out there for a while. Don't toss my memories in the trash.
Yes.
And I will tell you that maybe I'm speaking for 5 people out there, or 5,000, or 50,000. But the reality is that that's my problem. It's memories. I heard last night, of all places, on that duck show that I happened to get caught up in for 5 minutes with my son, that sometimes you need to make change so that you create new memories. I tend to not think I need to throw away stuff in order to create new memories. So what do I do?
Well, no, that's true. You do need to create change, and change is good. Change is hard, though. Change is hard. But letting something go and creating space to bring something else into your life, it works. I know it sounds like it doesn't, but it really does. And
it doesn't just work, I'm assuming, physically, meaning in the amount of space that you have in a particular place. But it's described for me as it's like a mental cleansing thing. That if you could basically unload things, it will actually free you up mentally. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. It definitely will, because, you know, if you think about our world, we're so busy with everything. We have so much stuff. We have our time just, you know, allocated to everything, from social networking to work to home, and then we have the stuff. And if you have all that on your plate, you know, it's like a salad bar. You go in the salad bar and you take a bunch of stuff, and pretty soon the cherry tomatoes are rolling off your plate because you took too many. So it's the same thing with your life. Stuff, time, energy, everything.
How big a problem is this?
Oh, it's pretty big.
And how would we characterize pretty big? I mean, in terms of just the widespread nature of it, the depth of it, I mean, how do we quantify that?
Well, I would just say I've been a professional organizer for 11 years, and I'm a full-time business. And there are many of us around the world doing this for people. The National Association of Professional Organizers, we have over 4,500 members.
Right. I like to call that NAPO.
NAPO.
I knew it. What's your last name again before I say Delaquila?
Delaquila.
So so let's say you would come. How do you do this? Do you come to someone's house? Is this, you know, is this 1-800-HELP me? Tell me how the process starts and what you do.
Sure. How the process usually starts is someone is stuck in their lives and they can't move forward. It could be just because they have too much stuff. It could be usually a transitional thing. Maybe they just moved. Maybe they're going to downsize and move. Maybe they lost their job. They had a big loss, a loss of a loved one, and they're stuck and they can't move forward. So they'll usually find me, you know, usually either hear me talk or on the internet, and then I just start with a conversation first. And then we move to the consultation, going to their house and helping them make a plan on how we can help them and help them move forward in their lives.
So it's a much, I would imagine, emotional, mental, psychological as it is physical initially. You don't just come in and just start tossing. You've got to have an understanding as to how we got to this point where you have paralysis by analysis or whatever it is.
Exactly, and that's what the consultation does. And then we do start working with the client, but it's a process. Organizing is not just throwing away stuff. It really doesn't have to do with stuff. It has to do with emotions.
Okay. Yeah, well, that's a good point, because I have emotions, and those emotions are typically reflected in, I just guess, looking back at what was a good time of my life, for instance. Although, I have to tell you, as I look at things now that I would call good times in my life, it was before I had my sons. And they seem to be a little less important now. It's more about the things that are current that are more valuable. Is that a bit of a breakthrough for me?
That is a bit of a breakthrough, I would say, definitely, because, you know, it is important what happened to you in your past, and you want to keep some of that, but, you know, you're here now, and you only can move forward. So, you know, keeping a little piece of something of the past is great, but you don't have to keep an entire 12 boxes of papers from your high school or middle school or elementary school years. You can keep a little bit of it.
What about my notebook for my very first day of college? No.
Oh, I don't know about that. I think I'd have a little talk with you about that one.
Little one, yeah. Don't worry, my wife has, and she keeps trying. Don't toss my memories in the trash. I mean, what was the impetus? I mean, obviously this is your professional background,
Yes.
but that particular title, that particular message, what were you getting
Well, what I would see is that people in general would be like, this is so important to me. I just don't want somebody coming in and throwing it away. And of course we're not going to do that. We're going to work with you. You're going to keep some things. You're going to let some things, release them is what I like to say instead of that. Just let them release and go someplace else, because somebody else's stuff can be used by somebody else. Your stuff really goes around the world.
How is it that, well, tell us about that. That's right. And I was going to say, why is this important to you? And now you just caught my ear.
Yeah.
This is going to go around the world.
Absolutely. So you donate it to a charity, someone else picks it up and uses it, or it's recycled and it goes to a recycler, or maybe it goes to, for example, the Goodwill. The clothes go to South America, countries who don't have anything, the things they don't sell here, and then they actually make those into rags, the ones that aren't used. So it really is recycled process around the world.
Now see, interesting, I never thought about that. I never thought about it having, I always thought about it, and maybe you face this a multitude of times, in the most selfish of ways. And that is literally, this was mine, this was my time, this reflects
yeah.
my experience, and this is mine, and it's going to be, or it was my dad's.
Right.
And I feel that bond to keep certain things that were from my father, for instance. But what you're telling me is that the alternate way to look at that is that you're helping somebody else.
Absolutely. Absolutely. For example, I was working with somebody a few weeks ago that had a woman who had a lot of clothes that she no longer fit into, and they were very high-end clothes. And she was like, I just want to keep them until I lose this weight. And I said, well, why not think about taking them to a charity, and a woman who can't afford to buy this high-end piece of clothing gets to buy it for $1. You're helping her so much. You know, not only your tax deduction, but you're really helping her.
Right, right, yeah, that's a different motivation. That's a different motivation. That's a more selfless motivation.
Yes.
Before I forget, how could people get a hold of you? Because if I don't ask that now, I'll forget it when I tell me I got 10 seconds to go.
They can go to my website, organizationrules.com, or 412-913-0554.
You've mentioned you've done this full-time for a number of years.
Yes.
And if I had to ask you how busy you are, and I don't mean to be picky or nibby when I ask you that, but people around the area and the region know of you, and I would assume keep you busy.
I am booked into July, so yes. Yes, and I already have some things booked in the fall.
Is that right?
Yes. So
and when you say booked, do you mean meeting with people, talking about what it is that they would do?
With clients, yes.
Yes,
with
absolutely.
clients, yes.
Absolutely.
I'm very busy.
Okay. Now, when somebody has that breakthrough where they go from, I need to keep this because, what are some of the reasons that you typically get?
Usually I hear, well, it's worth a lot of money, so therefore if I let it go, I won't be able to buy it again if I would need it. And I always say, well, you know what, if it's a general household thing, you can always buy it again at another store, or find it, or it'll come back in your life, somebody will have it and they'll let you borrow it or give it to you. That's one of the big ones. It was my mother's or my father's, so yep. And so therefore I can't let this move on. It was a gift, and gifts are yours to decide what to do with. You do not have to keep them.
That's a very good way to close and a very good message. So anybody who ever gave me a gift, thank you very much, but I'm going to give them to South America.
That would be great.
All right. I'm trying to make small steps. Always a pleasure,
All
okay?
right, thank you so much.
You're a great guest, and we look forward to having you on.